Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to the marketplace. Coming up, more oil marketing companies reduce pump prices, but consumers expect further reductions.
Before, when I buy 300 Ghana cedis, it doesn't sustain me a lot. But now, if I even buy 200, it's okay for me.
So let's just hope for the better. We only pray it comes to a single digit.
Also coming up, Ghana's upstream petroleum sector loses $170 million through gas flaring.
Flaring is a big issue. In fact, under our petroleum policy, or is it gas policy, it's supposed to be a zero flaring.
Plus, government plans to allocate additional spectrum to mobile network operators to enhance service delivery.
End of Q3, we would want to have seen the start of the utilization of the spectrum resources that have been given.
My name is Darryl Kwao. Thanks for being with us. Details coming up. And thanks for staying with us, everyone. First up, more oil marketing companies are reducing prices of petroleum products at the pumps today. This is coming after some took the lead last week. Here's more in this report.
Allied, for instance, has reduced a litre of petrol from 12 Ghana cedis 65 pesos to 12 Ghana cedis 15 pesos. But this happened on Wednesday. A litre of diesel is going for 13 Ghana cedis 35 pesos. The adjustment by Allied is way ahead of the June 1, 2025 that all the oil marketing companies should reduce their prices as part of the current price deregulation policy. Other major oil marketing companies have told Joy Business that they will reduce their prices at the pumps, but this would happen from Monday. However, they were silent on the margin of reduction. Some of the oil marketing companies have told Joy Business that the reduction has been influenced by the continuous sharp appreciation of the cedi against the dollar.
Meanwhile, the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies is projecting 7.5% drop in prices of petrol, almost 8% for a litre of diesel, whilst that of LPG will go down by 6.3% per kilogram. Joining News' Blessed Suga has been interacting with some motorists who say they are upbeat about a single-digit rate for fuel prices, which will in turn ease the cost of living.
Fuel prices across the country are beginning to take a nosedive as predicted by experts a couple of days ago. According to the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies, the drop in the fuel prices can be largely attributed to the cedi's stability against the United States dollar. Is the reason for which many fuel stations, including where we are now in the heart of Accra, are beginning to witness a drop in their prices. We've been speaking to some motorists to take their thoughts on how they feel about this reduction and what more they expect from government in terms of policies targeted at fuel prices.
It's coming down. I think last 2 weeks it went down, and this morning when I woke up I saw a new prices on the dashboard. So truly when I came and bought the fuel, it was down.
How much is it selling for this time?
Petrol is 11 cedi 57 pesos now at Star Oil. Oh, the government is doing their best, and I think Ghanaians should support their good works that they are doing.
Should I say, at first the litre was, I think it was 15, but now I think it's 11.57, and it's okay. Well, I would say if the system is there for them to reduce it, they should reduce it. Honestly, after my work, I use the Uber app to do one or two things. Before, when I buy 300 Ghana cedis, it doesn't sustain me a lot. But now, if I even buy 200, it's okay for me, yeah.
In the past, you know, I'm using a very big car. In the past, it's very tough, very, very, very tough. You buy, within some short time, it has been. And because the prices have gone high too, you could see there is a lot of carbons in the fuel. You spark the car, you feel the carbon scents. At least for now, it's coming down, so let's just hope for the better. We only pray it comes to a single digit, that's all.
Do you feel it's because of the dollar going there?
Of course, because we use dollar to buy fuel. So the more the dollar depreciates against the cedi, then you see.
What more would you want government to do about the fuel price?
Like I said earlier, we pray it comes to a single digit. When it comes to a single digit, you know, we don't use fuel to do farming anyway. But when the price of fuel goes down, the transportation costs will come down.
And just as you may have it, motorists will definitely ask for more, but it is unclear how further the prices may drop. The single hope for every Ghanaian is that fuel prices will continue to drop further to also reduce further the cost of living and transportation across the country. Blair Sogan reporting for Joy News, Accra.
Now, over 28,000 million standard cubic feet of natural gas worth approximately $170 million was lost in Ghana's upstream petroleum sector through flaring. This is contained in the 2024 annual report of the Public Interest and Accountability Committee, PIAC, on the management and use of petroleum revenues. The figure constitutes 10.40% of the 279,345 million cubic feet of raw gas utilized in the year under review from the three oil fields, that's Jubilee, Sankofa, Jiname, and the Trinidad in Rantume field. Richard Kojo Elima is member of PIAC.
Gas flaring is a big issue. In fact, under our petroleum policy, or is it gas policy, it's supposed to be a zero flaring. We have a zero flaring policy. So technically, no company is allowed or permitted by the EPA to flare any gas. But the reality is that once they produce the petroleum, it comes with its associated gas. Some of the gas is re-injected into the wells to show up, the production of the oil. Some are used on the FPSO to power, the processing of the oil and all that. And then the remainder is what is flared. And it's simply flared because the Atuabo gas facility doesn't have enough capacity to process all the gas that we get from the field. So the solution is to get a second gas processing plant that will utilize the excess gas that we produce from the fields. And the good news, which I heard and my heart was, it's very heartwarming, was when the minister announced that cabinet had given approval for the construction of a second gas processing plant. It's heartwarming to me because it creates the avenue for us to utilize the gas that would otherwise have been flared. When you flare it, it creates environmental problems and so on. But once you use it, it goes to promote our own economic development as a country.
So how would you want government to expedite this construction?
Oh, I think it should be part of government's priority projects. If government can begin the construction as quickly as possible, I believe it will help us so that in the next 2-3 years, it should be ready.
In other news, the Minister of Communication, Digital Technology and Innovation, Samuel Duno, has revealed government's plans to allocate additional spectrum to mobile network operators to enhance service delivery. Here's more in this report. The announcement to allocate additional spectrum to mobile network operators, MNOs, follows a recent quality of service drive test conducted by the National Communications Authority, NCA, to assess the performance of MNOs across the country. According to the Minister of Communication, Digital Technology and Innovation, Samuel Duno, MNOs will be held accountable if there is no significant improvement in service delivery resulting from the spectrum allocation by the final quarter of the year.
By end of Q3, we would want to have seen the start of the utilization of the spectrum resources that have been given. And by end of Q4, which will be end of this year, we would want to see a remarkable increase in quality of service on the back of the deployment of the spectrum. Because by end of Q4, that would have been 6 months since the spectrum was allocated to them. The Ghanaian people must see the benefits of that. Failure to meet any of these timelines, roll out at end of Q3, and improved quality of service by Q4, you have the mandate of the ministry to impose sanctions and pecuniary fines on defaulting telcos. And again, let's be clear, whatever fines are charged, we'll find a mechanism to ensure that 40 to 50% of the fines find their way back to the citizens by way of either data or call time on their networks.
Mr. George also assured Ghanaians of a reduction in data prices by the end of the year.
There was a committee that I set up in February, one of the first things I did, and all the networks were present through the chamber, and you all submitted a document to the ministry. That document, and again, let's be clear, that committee was not tasked with dropping the price of data. That committee was tasked with building a roadmap that will lead to us seeing the drop in data. So it's a process. And that's why I'm on record to have stated that before the end of this year, in an interview with Joy FM, I said before the end of this year, we would see a drop in data prices. I'm still well within the timelines I have set.
Additionally, the communications minister disclosed that the government is working on plans to revamp and take over Airtel Tigo to ensure more efficient operations and improved services.
For the first time, I'll put out that government is currently in negotiations with a strategic partner to revamp and take over AT. We've started those conversations. We've given a 60-day window for the completion of those negotiations so that by the end of Q3, we could see a full rollout of the improved services on AT.
All right, let's have a quick conversation on this. I'm joined on Zoom by Samuel Duno. He's founder of Tech Focus 24, also a telecoms analyst. Good afternoon to you. First off, what impact could the allocation of additional spectrum have on network quality and service delivery for mobile users in the short to medium term? You're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. So, I mean, as we all know, spectrum is actually the lifeblood of any telecom service that you can think about. Spectrum is what gives them the leverage to be able to offer very, high quality services, to be able to, deal with issues of congestion. So it is spectrum that this whole thing, that's the best way I can put it in layman's language. So spectrum is what they need to be able. For instance, I can tell you that, for instance, I know that Telecom, for instance, has invested some money in their network upgrades and stuff like that. But if you upgrade a network and you don't have the spectrum to then be able to let the customers enjoy it, then of course customers will not get the benefit of all the upgrades. So the spectrum is very, very, very important. So the spectrum that was given to Telecom and then MTN is expected to bring some improvement. For we the customers. MTN, as we all know, they've been piling on customers. Over the years, they were made an SMP even after the SMP thing, they were still piling on customers, which shows that really the SMP policy is not really working. So then it brings some congestion on the network, which then means that they will need more spectrum. And once you give them the spectrum, then they will be able to let the investment that they've made, the millions of dollars that they are talking about, investment they made, if they have the spectrum, then it will then trickle down to the customers.
Right.
So spectrum is very, very important. Yes.
So the government is hoping to push down data prices lower by the end of the year, whilst calling for improved services. And given the infrastructure and investment challenges some of these telecom companies have, how realistic is this push for lower data prices?
Daryl, I'm going to come to the data prices in a second. You see, I also think, from where I sit, I think that one of the ways that the previous government thought was going to help to all the telcos to then be able to improve their customers' network service was the introduction of the NGIC, the introduction of the wholesale 5G network. And remember, it is not just a 5G thing; it's also 4G and 5G. So then, again, if somebody has invested so much into the network, but they don't have spectrum, like I said, they will not be able to let customers enjoy. But some of these spectrum, 4G and 5G spectrum, are with NGIC. So then, if the minister and the regulator can then ensure that all the regulatory hurdles and stuff are cleared so that NGIC can start, then people like Vodafone and even MTN and all those who can go to the NGIC and get in some spectrum, more spectrum to be able, because I know, like I said, I know that Vodafone need a lot of spectrum. I keep saying Vodafone. Telecom need a lot of spectrum, and that some of that spectrum is available at NGIC, for instance. And I believe that if we can let NGIC really start work, it will solve some of this problem. Data, for me, I think it has got to do with taxes. You know, because telcos are paying all the way like up to like 40%. I mean, of all their earnings into taxes. So if we can reduce taxes, they will share. Because why? There was a time when CST, some of the telcos were even absorbing the CST on our behalf as customers. But it came to a point they said they cannot absorb it anymore. So really, the increase in that data price, the main issue there was the taxes. So and I'm sure that is what the minister is trying to do. He's trying to negotiate with the finance ministry to see whether they can also back down some of the taxes so that we can be able to improve. Because, Daryl, if you check across Africa, I think Ghana has got one of the cheapest data prices. But the issue in Ghana is that because incomes are low, then now when you do the ratio, then you realize that we are probably even paying more. We should pay. But in terms of the nominals, the actual price point, Ghana, I think the top three, we have the lowest. We have one of the lowest prices. We are in the top three. So
okay.
We'll see how it goes.
Well, the minister also finally talked about revamping AT. I mean, what's your take on how the progress being made so far? In a minute, if you can.
Oh, I mean, AT, the minister has said it already, that AT, even their equipment, I don't want to use the word obsolete, but they say their equipment are at the end of life. So even today, if you give AT 4G spectrum or you give them a 5G spectrum, they can't even roll it out because it looks like their equipment is 2G and 3G. And they are saying that they are not getting an investor to improve. That is what we are looking for. Once they can improve upon their own network, then the spectrum, the advanced spectrum, which is 4G and 5G, can be of use to them and then can be of benefit to their customers. So if the investor is coming, this investors thing has been coming since forever. They start negotiating something with Hanam and partners. We never saw it. We also heard about some local businesses being involved. I know about one real estate company who had wanted to join in to then invest in AT. We never saw it. So we are really hoping, because the minister assured us one of his interviews that in spite of the fact that there is a huge big market player, some investors have expressed interest in AT and Telecom. So we are waiting. So we are really waiting to see what is going to happen on that front as well.
Thank you so much for joining us, Samuel Duno, founder of Tech Focus 24, also a telecoms analyst. I appreciate your time here on The Marketplace. You're watching The Marketplace on Joy News. We're taking a short break. We will be right back. All right, quick updates on the financial markets before we go. Government failed to meet its treasury bills target. That's according to auction results by the Bank of Ghana. This is coming just a week after it recorded a 17% oversubscription. Meanwhile, interest rates continue to decline, reducing government's cost of borrowing on the domestic market. There's more in this report.
Demand for the short-term instruments remained subdued due to the low yields. According to the auction result, the government got 3.537 billion cedis from the sale of the bills. It accepted all the bids tendered by the investors. A chunk of the bids came from the 91-day bill, where 2.697 billion Ghana cedis, representing 76.2% of the total bids, were tendered. For the 182-day bill, 554.06 million Ghana cedis was received. The bids tendered for the 364-day bill were estimated at 286.17 million Ghana cedis. Meanwhile, interest rate plummeted again on the yield curve. The yield on the 91-day bill went down by 13 basis points to 14.92%. That of the 182-day bill was 15.48%, compared with the previous weeks of 15.55%. The 364-day bill also dipped by 9 basis points to 15.91%.
All right, and we've got our eyes on the stock market. There'll be more demand for GCB Bank shares on the stock exchange this week. That's what we are watching for you as far as the stock market is concerned. My name is Darryl Kwao. Thanks for watching. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. Thanks for watching. We'll see you same time tomorrow.